Assalamu students. Today we are going to start a new topic, that is pigmentation. No. Pigmentation basically is an abnormal accumulation of the colored pigment in any part of the body. Accumulation of the colored pigment. Colored, any substance of pigment in the body. This is called the pigmentation. Now the pigments in the body which are accumulated can be exogenous and endogenous. They are both exogenous and endogenous. Exogenous and endogenous. Obviously, you know, exogenous substances are those which we accumulate from the outside of the body, that we acquire from the environment. And the endogenous are those pigments or those substances which are produced within the body, and they give an abnormal color to the any organ, that is called the endogenous pigments. Therefore, the both types of the exogenous and endogenous pigmentation can lead to some abnormalities in the body. We will discuss it separately. What are the exogenous pigments, how they causes the problem in the body, and what are the endogenous pigments. Now, first the exogenous pigments. As I told you, that the pigments or the materials that we acquired from the environment. The most important exogenous pigment which we acquired from the environment and which causes problem for the body are the coal dust or the carbon. Because of the industrialization and because of the different vehicles which we have in the bigger cities and in the world overall, these basically vehicles, what they do, they give carbon in the environment. They produce carbon in the environment as an end product after consumption. Now, after consumption, when the carbon is produced, this carbon is now in the environment, and when we inhale this carbon in through the air in the lungs, that carbon basically has a color of blackish brown, black color. This black color carbon is inhaled inside of the lung through the air. We inhale the air, and in the air there is carbon. This carbon, when goes to the alveoli, it got deposited there. When this carbon is deposited in the alveoli, this carbon is taken up as a foreign agent by the macrophages, which protects our body against any invading substance. This is taken up by the macrophages, and these macrophages then deliver it to the lymphatics, and through the lymphatics it goes to the nearby lymph nodes. Clear? They accumulate at the lymph nodes which are very nearby to that substance through the lymphatics. Now that substance, which is of the black color, starts giving color to the lymph nodes as a black. Usually the normal color of the lymph nodes is pinkish in appearance. Now when the when the carbon starts to accumulate at that side, the color of that lymph nodes, of that area of those lymphatics through which it is going through, also changes into the black color. That leads to the abnormality of the lung, and after some time that part of that lung is damaged, and this process is called anthracosis. What is anthracosis? Anthracosis basically is the accumulation of the carbon in the lung, which causes the damage to the lung. When the lung is damaged, it ultimately is, this condition is called anthracosis. And the process is what? We inhale the carbon is taken up by the macrophages and sent it to the lymph nodes, and it starts to accumulate at the lymph nodes through the lymphatics. Now that area in which this this carbon is deposited is blackened in color. It starts of inflammatory response generated by the body at that site, and ultimately the area is blackened. And this is called anthracosis. This is basically not a very severe condition. The severe condition is usually seen in those people who work in the coal mine workers. In the coal mine workers, the workers who are doing in the coal mine, they are digging the coal all the time, and they are basically extracting the coal from the mines. They inhale the coal dust in a very high quantity. As we are here in the cities, we are inhaling the air which has a carbon which is not very high excessive quantity. Obviously it depends upon the level of the pollution of that city, of that area. If somebody is living nearby the industries, nearby the any factory which is basically producing lot of coal, a lot of carbon in the environment, obviously those people could have more coal in the body, more carbon in the body. But coal miners, they are inhaling carbon in a very high quantity. They are inhaling in the droplets of that coal. When those droplets goes to the lung, basically they give a very fibroelastic reaction in the body. And this reaction basically starts to damage the lung and causes the fibrosis of the lung. This fibrosis of the lung is called pneumoconiosis. Pneumoconiosis. Basically, this is a very severe condition of the lung, which usually is seen in the coal miners who work in the coal mine for a long period of time. They inhale coal in a very high quantity. Then this coal is taken up by the macrophages, sent to the lymph nodes, and that deposit different parts of the lung. And also they are deposited in the alveoli as well. In the alveoli, they starts to produce a fibroelastic reaction, and due to that reaction, there is an inflammatory response generated, and the alveoli are damaged. When the alveoli are damaged, they are replaced by the fibrous tissue, and this fibrous tissue cannot basically exchange the air. As the air is coming inside the lung, it is not going through the alveoli into the body, and the hemoglobin is unable to deliver it to the tissue. That condition ultimately leads to the emphysema of the lung, an abnormality in which the exchange of the air is not possible, and this condition is called pneumoconiosis. This is a very grave condition, and ultimately patient could die because of that hypoxic condition all the time in the body. Okay, this is the example of the inhalational pigmentation. As we are inhaling the pigment in the body, the most important pigment is the carbon or the coal dust. Now the second type of the exogenous pigmentation is the tattooing. Tattooing, basically, as we know, the tattoos are the colored pigments which we basically inject in the body, in the outer surface of the body, or sometimes even in the dermal tissue of the skin. The colored pigment is injected inside the skin. Mostly this color pigment is non-allergic, and it does not basically initiate any reaction in the body or inflammatory process in the body. But if the color material is not of the good quality, of not of a good standard, it can causes the allergic reaction as well. But mostly a good material usually does not cause any reaction. The tattoo basically is the colored substance that is injected in the skin. In the Pakistan and in the Muslim world, the concept of this tattoo is not as we see in the European countries or in the America, where there is a fashion to make the tattoos on the skin. When the tattoos are made, basically what they do, they inject the colored substance to the skin through the different needles, through the multiple pricks in the skin. Ultimately, that pigment got deposited in the epidermis as well as in the dermis. In the dermis, we know there are macrophages. They take up that colored substance inside of them and then retain it for a long period of time. If it is in the dermal part of the skin, then it could be there for 10 years or sometimes even 15 years, because the life of the macrophages is sometimes 1 decade, 10 years. They survive for 10 years. So as long as the macrophages are there, the colored substance is there in the skin. But if the colored substance is deposited only on the epidermis layer of the skin, then it could be fade away in 5 or 6 months. But depend upon the level of the injection where it is basically injected, whether in the dermis or in the epidermis. Therefore, tattoo is the example of the injectional pigmentation This is inhalational pigmentation. This is through the injection. Sometimes we also causes the pigmentation in the body through the eating or the ingestion. And the example of this ingestional pigmentation is the arsenic. Arsenic poisoning is a type of the poisoning in which there is a slow damage to the organ. Arsenic basically causes the slow damaging to the skin, to the body. And the very important example is if somebody wants to kill somebody through slow poisoning, the arsenic is used. Now, how we detect this arsenic in the body? Basically, this arsenic is deposited in the mucosal surface or the gingiva of the gum. In the upper layer, we see there is a clear-cut line, metallic line on the surface of the gingiva, upper and the lower gums. We see the metallic line on the surface of the gingiva. This is the example of the ingestional pigmentation. We usually arsenic causes that pigmentation in the body. This is the example of the exogenous pigmentation. Now we will discuss the endogenous pigmentation. Endogenous pigmentation basically, as we know, endogenous, as I told you earlier, the endogenous pigmentations are the pigments which are produced inside the body. So these endogenous pigments could be two types: heme derived and non-heme derived. Non-heme derived. Heme derived means the color material which ultimately is produced through the metabolism of the heme, and non-heme derived which has nothing to do with the heme substance. First we discuss the non-heme derived. Non-heme derived color substance most important are the lipofuscin and melanin. Lipofuscin and melanin are the two colored pigments which are produced in the body. We are not acquiring it through the environment. They are produced within the body, but they are produced in an abnormal fashion, which ultimately causes the abnormal pigmentation in the body. Like lipofuscin is also called wear and tear material. Tear substance. What is this wear and tear substance? Wear and tear substance means after the cell got damaged, after the cell got injured or the dead, these pigments are produced at the dead side of the cells. What are these? Basically, they are basically the combination of the cholesterol, phospholipids, and the proteins. They combine together and form a colored pigment. Clear? And that colored pigment is called lipofuscin. Basically, the color is yellowish brown color. This is all the yellowish brown color, which is produced at the site where there is damage to the cells. When there is peroxidation of the lipid membrane, as we know that the membrane of the cell is composed of the lipids, proteins, carbohydrates, and when it is damaged, ultimately there is peroxidation. When the peroxidation of that membrane, after the damage of the membrane, small particles are separated. These small particles ultimately form a lipofuscin. It is broken down from the different sides of the cell, and those separated different components of the membrane, they ultimately acquire a color that is of the yellowish in color, and this is called the lipofuscin. Therefore, wherever we see the yellowish pigment in the section of the tissue under the microscope, we can easily identify that this is the lipofuscin material which is there because of the death of the cells. This is lipofuscin. Then the melanin pigment. Melanin pigment basically is the pigment which is normally produced in the body, and that melanin pigment gives color to the skin. The different people have different colors of the skin. Like in the Europe, the people are more fair. They have low quantity of the melanin. Basically, melanin give you the color. The pigment which give the color to the skin is the melanin. The more the melanin, the darker the skin. The African people who are living in the Africa, they have a large quantity of the melanin on the epidermal layer, and whereas those who are living in the Europe or in the America, the Caucasian heritage people, they have the fair skin, and that fair skin basically is because of the low quantity of the melanin in their skin. This melanin basically protects us against the ultraviolet radiations. The radiation that are produced by the sun, the ultraviolet radiations which are produced by the sunlight, it causes the damage to the skin, and this melanin pigment basically protects us against the ultraviolet radiation. The more the melanin, the better is the protection. As we have seen that those who are living in the Europe, and the sunlight is not so high, the sun usually does not come very frequently in the winter season, therefore the sunshine is low. That is why they have the brighter skin, because they need less protection against the ultraviolet radiation. But people who are living in the Africa or in the Asia, where the exposure to the sun is very high, therefore we have more melanin in the skin, which protects us against the ultraviolet radiations. Therefore sometimes this melanin could be accumulated at a site in a large quantity of the body, and that high quantity of the melanin to the skin can cause different problems, like a mole. The mole is basically the accumulation of the melanocytes at a single point. Clear? The mole is an example of the melanin pigmentation. Similarly, freckles. You must have seen somebody who has got the freckles, the dots of the skin which are black in color, then the alternate space which is clear, then the dark spots, then the clear skin. That is the freckles, which are basically the localized accumulation of the melanocytes, or the high melanin pigmentation by the melanocytes, which ultimately leads to the freckles of the skin. Similarly, sometimes the people do not have this melanin pigment in their skin. That is called hypopigmentation, and which is the example of the albinism. Albinos are those who do not have this melanin pigment in their skin. Therefore, because of the total absence of the melanin pigment in the skin, their skin is not of any color. They are basically devoid of any pigment, any melanin pigment. Even if you see the people who are from the European nations, they do not. They do have melanin, but it is a small quantity. Therefore, the skin of those people who are living in who are Europeans, and the skin of the albino, you can easily differentiate the skin, the shade of the skin in between these two people, because they have small quantity of the melanin, but the melanin is there. But albinos do not have any melanin pigment. Their skin color is totally different. That is reddish and pinkish in appearance, whereas those have the fair and white in appearance. Clear? But the difference is there is a total absence of the melanin pigment in the albinos, and in the fair nations have a small quantity of the melanin pigment in the body. Why this basically happens? Because of the deficiency of the enzyme that is called tyrosinase. Tyrosinase basically is an enzyme which could be inheritedly deficient and inheritedly absent in some people. This tyrosinase basically converts the tyrosine into phenyl hydroxyphenylalanine. This phenylalanine basically is the rate limiting step which ultimately form the melanin pigment. If this is absent, the tyrosine could not be converted into hydroxyphenylalanine, and then ultimately melanin could not be produced. Therefore, it ultimately leads to the total absence of the melanin pigment, and the melanocytes which are present on the epidermal layer of the skin cannot produce any pigment as well. Similarly, the other example of the endogenous pigments are the transferrin, hemosiderin. Hemosiderin. And this basically melanin is a black in color. Clear? This pigment is a black in color. As we have seen, the mole is of the black in color. Therefore, this melanin pigment is also black in color. Remember it. Now, hemosiderin basically is a colored material which is produced by the accumulation of the hemosiderin. This hemosiderin basically provides the iron to the different functions of the body. The hemoglobin, which has a very important iron molecule in it, iron atom in it, is basically delivered by this hemosiderin. Sometimes this hemosiderin is accumulated in the body in large quantity, and because of the large quantity of the hemosiderin that is deposited in the body, the body acquired a color. The color of this hemosiderin is brownish, golden brown color. Golden brown. This basically hemosiderin provides the iron. This is the storage form of the iron in the body. It is present in the different organs of the body, but they are stored basically in the macrophages, in the liver, in the spleen, in the bone marrow. Wherever there is macrophages, the small quantity of this hemosiderin is available there, and it is released accordingly when there is requirement of the iron in the body. Like if the blood is being formed, hemoglobin is more required, they start supplying the iron through this hemosiderin, because this hemosiderin is the storage form of the iron. If this storage form of the iron is increased in quantity, what happens? Ultimately, this starts to give a color to the organ, to the body. Usually, it also has a color, but if it is in large quantity, ultimately the organ could be changed into that color. Like I told you that it is a golden brown in color. Therefore, wherever it is deposited, the organ color is also changed into golden brown. In which conditions it is basically increased? It could be increased in hemolytic anemias. It could be increased if a large quantity of iron is taken in, or it could be increased in transfusional hemosiderosis, that is called. Basically, if somebody is being given blood for a long period of time, like patients of the thalassemia, which basically are dependent on the transfusion on a monthly basis, because of the regular transfusion of 250 milligram of the iron is being being transfused in the body through each one transfusion, 250 milligram, and the daily requirement of the iron is just 1 milligram. Therefore, in 1 month he only needs 30 milligram of the iron, but we are injecting 250 milligram of the iron through the transfusion. Now this 250 milligram of iron cannot be removed from the body, because the removal of the iron from the body is a very complex process, and body cannot remove more than 2 to 3 milligram of the iron on a daily basis. Therefore, the iron starts to accumulate in the body, and I told you that the iron stored in the form of hemosiderin or ferritin. Ferritin is water soluble, hemosiderin is water insoluble. Therefore, it gives the color to the skin, to the body, to the organ. The ferritin do not give any color to the body. Therefore, this hemosiderin starts to deposit in the different parts of the body. It causes problems to the body as well, where it is deposited. It can cause the fibroelastic reactions. It can cause the inflammatory response to that organ, and ultimately causes the damage of that organ. Therefore, hemosiderin is very important colored substance. Now the other is the heme derived, which is very important, being the bilirubin. Bilirubin is ultimately formed by the metabolism of the heme molecule. This heme molecule, what it does basically, through the different process of the metabolism in the liver, it ultimately is converted into the bilirubin, and this bilirubin is either conjugated or unconjugated. The conjugated bilirubin make it water soluble, and it is then excreted through the urine or through the feces, and the water insoluble unconjugated bilirubin starts to deposit in the organ, and it is of the yellowish in color. Yellowish in color, as we know, somebody who has got this high level of the bilirubin ultimately form a yellowish discoloration of the conjunctiva of the skin of the nails. He or she starts to excreting the yellowish color urine, and there is a yellowish discoloration of the skin. Therefore, this is the bilirubin, which is a heme derived color substance which causes the pigmentation of the body. Now this topic is covered. If you have any query, any question regarding this topic, you can ask me. I am noticing that you are not attending or you are not watching my videos. Kindly do watch the videos, because ultimately when the regular classes will start, these topics will not be covered, and ultimately I am not going to repeat these topics. I am loading all the topics on my YouTube channel. Please go visit and see the videos so that you can understand the topic. And I'm again telling that I'm not going to repeat these topics in the class. Okay, thank you.